My name is Alex Carter. I'm 29 years old, a senior graphic designer at a mid-sized creative agency in Chicago. I've always been the kind of person who shows up early, stays late, and believes loyalty still means something. Maybe that's why What Happened cut so deep. Ethan and I met back in university. We clicked instantly, same music taste, same dry sense of humor, same sleepless nights fueled by coffee and deadlines. Over time, he became like a brother to me. We shared everything: heartbreaks, job rejections, late-night video game marathons. Life felt easier with him around, like I didn't have to face it all alone. Fast forward a few years, I had built a solid life. A decent apartment in Wicker Park, a good job downtown, and a reputation I was proud of. Ethan, not so much. Things hadn't gone his way, a string of short-lived jobs, some poor decisions, and a lot of burned bridges. When he called me that night, voice quiet and shaky, asking if he could crash at my place for a while, I didn't even hesitate. Of course he could. At first, it was like old times again. We stayed up late talking about our dreams, the industry, how far we'd come. I could see the fire still flickering in him, buried beneath the disappointment. And when a spot opened up at my agency, I pulled every string I could to get him an interview. I revised his portfolio, prepped him for the questions, even spoke directly to my boss on his behalf. He got the job. And I was genuinely happy for him. I thought, finally, he was getting a break. I had this naive belief that when you lift someone up, they'll remember who reached out their hand. I didn't realize I had just opened the door for the person who would push me out. The betrayal didn't come all at once. It crept in, slow and quiet, like a shadow slipping beneath a locked door. I didn't even realize I was bleeding until it was far too late. Ethan settled into his new job faster than I expected. Too fast, actually. Within weeks, he was already sitting in on major client meetings, pitching ideas, and charming the upper management like he was born for it. I told myself I was proud of him, that this was exactly what I had hoped for when I vouched for him. But something felt off. At work, he stopped having lunch with me. Our conversations grew shorter, colder. He always seemed busy. Distracted. Once, I walked past a conference room and saw him talking to my manager. They laughed, nodding at something on the presentation screen. It was my design, the one I'd spent weeks perfecting, the one I hadn't shown anyone yet. Later that day, when I brought it up, he just shrugged. Oh, that? Yeah, I might have mentioned it. Thought it was a team effort. A team effort? That was the first real crack in the glass. I started paying more attention after that, opening my emails earlier, locking my laptop when I stepped away. And it didn't take long to uncover what was really happening. Ethan had been forwarding my concepts to himself, slides, sketches, whole pitch decks. He'd been presenting them as his own during private meetings, gaining praise, recognition, even a personal commendation from the director. I confronted him the night I found out. I still remember how calm he looked, standing in my kitchen like nothing had happened. "You're overreacting," he said, barely meeting my eyes. "We've always worked together. What's mine is yours, right? What's mine is yours." The words felt like poison in my throat. I reminded him that I had helped him out of the gutter, that I had opened my home to him, given him everything: trust, opportunity, even friendship. But he just scoffed. "You think I owe you something forever? I didn't ask for your charity." That's when I knew. He hadn't just used me, he had never seen me as a friend at all. I was a stepping stone. A means to an end. The next day, I walked into the office and learned he had been promoted, offered a leadership role on the design team I had been building for months. And there I was, stuck in the same chair, still invisible, still too stunned to act. That night, I went home and sat alone in the dark for hours, playing it all over in my head. Every laugh we shared. Every plan we made. Every moment I defended him to others when they called him selfish or arrogant. He had played me perfectly. But what Ethan didn't know was that I wasn't just going to let this go. He had no idea what I was planning. And soon, he'd learn that betrayal cuts both ways. It started small, too small for anyone else to notice. A forgotten mention in a team meeting. A skipped credit line on a joint project. A joke made in passing that somehow always put me in the background. But I noticed. Ethan had always been charming, but now it was weaponized. In the office, he knew exactly what to say, when to say it, and who to say it to. He laughed at the boss's jokes a little louder than everyone else, stayed just 5 minutes later than he needed to, and always acted like he was still catching up, still learning. At first, I brushed it off. He was just trying to make a good impression. He needed this job. I reminded myself of that on the days he took credit for an idea I'd floated to him the night before. I reminded myself again when he casually dropped my concept sketches into a pitch deck without including my name. It's just temporary, I told myself. He's getting back on his feet. But then came the promotion. There had been whispers about a new lead designer role, someone to manage our biggest client, a multi-million-dollar account with a hotel chain that could put the agency on the map. I'd been working on that account for over a year. I knew the brand inside and out. Everyone, and I mean everyone, assumed it would be me. It wasn't. It was Ethan. My name wasn't even in the conversation. The announcement was made at the Monday morning meeting. I still remember the way he looked at me from across the room, not with guilt, not with regret. Just indifference. As if this was how things were always meant to be. I sat there, stunned, while the team clapped. My stomach twisted, but I forced a smile. My hand stayed folded in my lap. I didn't say a word. But something shifted in me that day. This wasn't about friendship anymore. This wasn't about helping someone in need. This was a game, and I had just realized I wasn't playing to win. Ethan thought he'd pulled one over on me. He thought I was still the same guy who'd offered him my couch, my connections, my loyalty. He had no idea what I was planning. I didn't confront Ethan. Not at the office. Not at home. I didn't rage, didn't argue, didn't even flinch. Instead, I watched. When you've known someone as long as I've known Ethan, you learn their rhythms. The way they talk when they're lying. The nervous tapping of their thumb against a glass when they feel exposed. The overcompensation when they're in over their head. He was in deep, and he didn't even realize it. The promotion had inflated his confidence to the point of blindness. He started holding solo meetings with clients I'd introduced him to, making changes to designs he didn't understand, and worst of all, he stopped asking for my opinion. Big mistake. The first domino fell when I quietly started speaking to Lena from accounts. Casual chats at the coffee machine, passing questions about project budgets, missing invoices. It didn't take long to confirm what I suspected. Ethan had been approving costly changes to the hotel project without proper oversight, and the numbers weren't adding up. Next came HR. Not a complaint, not yet. Just a casual conversation with Karen, the HR officer who'd always liked me. I asked a few harmless questions about company policy, project documentation, team credits. She didn't suspect anything. Why would she? I wasn't accusing. I was just curious. Meanwhile, I kept smiling at Ethan. Still laughed at his jokes. Still bought him coffee in the mornings. Still invited him to drinks after work. He had no idea. But my plan wasn't just about exposing him. That would have been too easy, and too obvious. I didn't want revenge that ended in a firing or a fight. I wanted him to unravel. So I gave him rope. I started slipping ideas to him again, ambitious, bold ones that he couldn't resist using in meetings. But they were flawed. Not enough to collapse a pitch, but just enough to raise questions from the client. questions he couldn't answer. Then I backed away. I dropped subtle hints in Slack channels, praise for team efforts, questions about who worked on what, gentle corrections in group chats. I made sure people started remembering that I had been on this project long before Ethan ever joined. The final stroke. I reached out to Nadia, the lead designer at a competing firm across town. Someone I'd mentored years ago. We had coffee, talked about old times, and I casually mentioned I might be looking for a change soon. She was interested. But I wasn't done yet. Ethan's mask started slipping around week 4. The hotel client had started bypassing him and emailing me directly. The design team was suddenly forgetting to CC him. And when he overheard someone joke that Alex should have been promoted, his reaction was telling. He didn't laugh. That night, he came home late. I was still up. He looked tired. Long day? I asked, sipping my tea. He nodded, barely meeting my eyes. Good. He had no idea the trap was already closed. And the best part? He still thought we were friends. Ethan's downfall wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no police at the door, no grand office showdown. It was quiet, like a curtain slowly falling at the end of a long, overacted play. It began with an email. Subject line, urgent, budget anomalies, Project Geneva. Sent by, Lena, Finance Department. CC'd, Senior Management, HR, and, of course, me. The email outlined discrepancies in the hotel project's budget. Misallocated expenses, unapproved vendor contracts, and worst of all, unauthorized design changes that had delayed the final phase and cost the client thousands. All signed off by Ethan. He tried to defend himself, naturally. Claimed it was a team effort, that I'd advised him, that decisions were made in alignment with our shared vision. But this time, no one backed him up. The design team remembered the changes Ethan pushed without discussion. Lena had the paper trail. HR had the records of our earlier chats. And the hotel client? They were livid, not just at the delays, but at the unprofessionalism. The project was reassigned. To me. I accepted it, calmly, professionally. No gloating, no smugness. I thanked the board, reassured the client, and gave the team a pep talk. Ethan stood in the back of the room during that meeting, silent and pale, like a ghost watching his own funeral. A week later, he resigned. No goodbye drinks. No LinkedIn farewell post. He just vanished from the office. At home, he packed in silence. I didn't stop him. Didn't ask where he was going. Didn't tell him what I knew, that I had found out about the secret bonus he negotiated behind my back, the way he tried to take full credit with the board, even the meeting he had with my old university mentor to try and steal a recommendation. He looked at me one last time before he closed the door. You knew, didn't you? I met his eyes. From the beginning. And with that, he was gone. It's been 3 months since Ethan left Chicago. I don't know where he is. Maybe Madrid, maybe Melbourne, somewhere with a fresh start and people who don't know what he did. As for me, I was promoted. Officially, this time. Head designer. Full creative control of the Geneva project, with 2 new juniors reporting to me, both brilliant, both eager to learn. I've also started mentoring again, remembering what it felt like to believe in someone, before they betrayed you. People still ask what happened between Ethan and me. I just smile and say. Sometimes friendships drift apart. But late at night, when I walk past the skyline we once dreamed about working together, I remember something important. He betrayed me. But he had no idea what I was planning. And that was always the difference between us.